Today we're at Hanna Race Design to show you guys something really cool. It's a mid-travel kit that has the best turn radius on the market, and this kit with this setup is a perfect example to show you guys what custom professional tuning can do to really wake up a kit. Simple design with proper tuning. Let's get into it. Hanna Race Design. Hey guys, hello, Keep It Dirty Off-Road. And something that always gets skipped when a custom truck is built is tuning. And it's one of the most important pieces of your build. And it always surprises me how many people don't do it, avoid it, and skip it. And in this video, I'm gonna show you guys one of the coolest mid-travel solutions out there and prove to you guys the difference that can be made with proper shock tuning and a simple design here with Hanna Race Design. Let me go ahead and bring in Bailey Hanna from Hanna Race Design, who built this kit. So Bailey, can you give us a very high-level overview of what the kit is?
Yeah, this is our mid-travel kit. This truck's got our front end, front bumper from us, our rear setup, and a cap cage.
This is a cool setup, right? Because this kit is one of the best turning in the business, right? This is a more livable kit. And that's kind of your approach with this setup, right? You want something that can off-road hard, but also drive it down the street and park it.
Right, yep, exactly.
Now this is Justin's truck, right? Who is Lugnuts on Instagram. And it's a really cool build. Now, you're a relatively new shop when it comes to Raptors, right? You've been doing this for a couple of years now.
I've been in business 4 years next month.
And where did you actually get your start at?
I came from another Raptor shop. I worked for a trophy truck race team for a while. I got some Mexico experience with those guys and didn't really do a lot of prep work there. I was mostly just a shop sweeper, but got into a shop in a Raptor shop, worked there for a while, and then picked the brains of our neighbors who were some high-end race guys and prep and camera steels truck, and kind of got some knowledge from those dudes.
We met you a couple years ago when I was looking for bumper options for my truck, right? I really wanted something different, something unique, and I couldn't find what I liked out there. And you came highly recommended from a few people, dude, and you worked on my truck, and I love what you did for me. Now, when you started, you weren't doing kits like this, right? So this is something you've been developing for the last 2 years.
This kit actually was one of our earlier things. So we had, Oscar's truck, right? He was one of our first customers. He came in, we've only been here like 3 or 4 weeks or so, and sharing the shop with my dad. Place was a mess, and he's just like, all right, I'll leave my truck with you. Go ahead and do these few little things, and kind of built some trust with me. And he brought it in for a front prep. He had a different kit on the truck at the time, and just snowballed. And then he's like, all right, well, go ahead and pull it off. Let's see what you can do. And so he kind of sponsored us developing our own kit, and then we ended up caging the truck and back halving it and going all the way with it.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool because I got a preview of it right when he was doing my bumper to see what this thing was, but you hadn't had it actually rolling yet. Right. So I was really excited to see what he was going to do. And you've been spending the last 2 years really fine-tuning this thing and getting it dialed in. So we're going to do a deep dive on the front, the back of this kit, going to show you guys the interior, and then give you guys a quick shop tour of this place, because Bailey doesn't just do kits. He does race trucks, he does a lot of prep. Basically all your maintenance needs for the Raptor, Bailey can help you guys out. And he's located here in, what is it, Santa Ana?
Yeah.
Santa Ana in Orange County, and he's one of the best shops that I recommend a lot for anybody that needs any kind of Raptor work. So let's get into this front kit. So we're gonna start off with the front end first, because there's a lot of cool stuff here that I think a lot of us that had mid-travels for a while really have asked for. First one being the turn radius, right? Most of these kits have really, really bad turn radius, and yours is a little different in its design with this ball setup. And that really, you basically have stock turn radius with that, right?
The uniball that direction, pretty much you have unlimited steering. So your limiting factors are going to be on your steering rack, and then in the rear you're going to crash into the shocks with your tire at full steer. So those are our limiting factors.
Now that's the biggest feature of this, but let's also talk about what it is, right? So you got upgraded shocks here, right? What are these? Are these FRS shocks, or are these unique to your kit?
No, those are just OEM replacement.
OEM replacement, so factory race series then.
Exactly.
So those are what, about, this is a Gen 1, so this is what, 6.5 inch stroke?
It's like, yeah, like a 7-inch stroke or something like that.
Right, somewhere around there. And then you got a bypass, those are what?
8-inch stroke.
8-inch stroke. So what's the travel for this?
This one is about 15 inches, and the Gen 2 will get about 15.5 inches.
Now, you don't have it strapped, right? So this is just 15 inches naturally like that.
This truck does not have limit straps, but we do offer limit straps. It's an option.
Let's start looking at the setup, right? So this is a fabricated upper, it's a fabricated lower, right? Fabricated spindle, right? And then you're doing tie rod all the way end to end, right?
Yes.
So you replace it even in the rack?
Yes.
Okay.
Full length tie rod.
Now your ballagers are pretty large. What size ballagers is this up front? That looks huge.
We use the 1-inch outer heim on the steering.
Why do you guys go that big for?
Well, some of the other kits we've noticed most everybody else uses a 7/8 outer heim, and that can be a limiting factor as well with your group and stuff. So we've welded on quite a few steering ears back onto trucks.
What kind of reinforcement are you doing here? Are you doing reinforcement behind? Are you doing any up top? What are you doing?
Yeah, so we have from basically the back of the shock tower to the body mount, we do a full chromoly plate right there. That's rosetted into our shock tower. That's bent into the frame, so there's not like a nub where you're only relying on 1 3/4 or 1.5 inch surface area.
Right.
That tube is stretched the entire length, welded all the way down on both sides and on the back.
What about the top? I noticed you're just kind of welding to the shock tower. How come you're not doing like any more shock tower reinforcement up there?
Never had a problem with it.
Never had a problem?
Nope.
You've been running this truck pretty hard. Well, I shouldn't say you. Justin's been running this truck for 2 years hard, and he hasn't broke it yet.
Actually, he did rip off a shock tower, but it was not this one. He had a different one on here that was mounted to a tube nub off the frame, and that one ripped off, and then we put this one on, and he's been all good since.
But no reinforcement up. Are you guys doing any kind of shock tower over the engine?
Not on this truck.
Okay,
We're working on some options for that. It's so tricky with these Gen 1s because where they have the master cylinder and the way the engine is and how close they are to the frame rails.
Without redesigning the engine.
Yeah, it makes it really tricky to actually, and then the way the shocks protrude through the tower, that it doesn't give you like a good solid surface to land on, so you kind of have to build like a plate structure or tubes to catch something going over there. It's a little funky. But
now, are you guys doing slot deletes as well?
Yes, we do slot deletes.
Now, are you guys reinforcing as well? Not just slot, but actual lower control arm reinforcement there as well?
Well, so we do the outer plates that cover the whole area there, just like we did on your truck.
Yeah.
We do the inner plates here.
Oh, you guys added inner plates.
Yeah,
cool.
so it's on uniballs, so we're able to kind of determine how wide we want to go there. So the Gen 1s obviously are wider in the front, narrow in the rear. We have 3/8 spacers there, 1/4 inch spacers in the back to center it up.
Now, do you guys triangle the rear? I've seen that done a lot. My Gen 1 has a triangle, which is one of the reasons I buy it. You guys don't triangle the rear?
Like coming back here?
Yeah.
We do on some trucks.
On some trucks,
yeah,
just depends.
If guys want it, yeah, we'll do that all day.
So that's optional.
Yeah, it's option.
Okay.
Yeah, same thing between the lower, between the lowers.
Now, what about brake kits? Can you support Wildwood kits on this?
We can support Willwood and Alcon with Alcon rotors.
Really?
It's the only kit on the market, I believe.
That you can do both?
Do both.
Wow, that's pretty cool. No adapters, able to support both?
Yeah.
Dude, that is cool.
No, I'm sorry. We have to do a little custom bracket for the Alcons. We just modify their bracket.
But the Wildwoods will bolt on directly?
Willwood bolt right on, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yep.
It's cool. Now, you're also doing something unique too with instead of using fender liners, you built the custom piece there to protect the inside.
Yeah, we've been doing a bunch of these lately. Super simple, nothing crazy.
Dude, I liked it because I have the fender liners and, you're constantly doing adjustments.
They rip off, yeah. Because if you cycle it, they contact.
They're self-trimming all the time, and then, at least the Gen 1 has a crossbar for you to mount to.
Right.
Right? But I like this idea.
The Gen 2s are definitely a lot trickier. We're still working on coming up with a simple panel that doesn't take 2 days to do on the, whatever on the Gen 2s that actually looks clean. And
now, this is optional, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I like this, man. I may have to come back to you for that, dude. I love the way that looks. I do have a question for you, right? Because a lot of people may not realize, but this is kind of an old racing design, right? This was something that you saw trophy trucks do a while ago. One of my concerns with a design like this, right, is you basically got a long bolt that goes from here all the way to the bottom, and I think you have the bolt going way down, right? You have it going down way down here, right? So, in the rare situation that somebody bends the spindle, right? And it's pretty rare. Is your only option then to just cut it off in order to get that off?
Yeah. If you were to bend a 2-inch solid chromoly boss, I would be impressed. But
yeah, I hear that a lot. I've bent a couple of things over the years, so.
But yeah, we've seen some crazy stuff for sure. So I actually would worry more about if you're worried about this bending here. A spherical bearing is going to be more likely to pop out than you are going to be to bend a 2-inch solid stock chromoly, in my opinion.
And it's pretty stout the way you have it built up too, right? Just to take an account for that, to make it stronger.
Right. Yeah. These spindles are pretty stout, I'd say. A uniball this direction is about 6 times stronger than a uniball this direction. People like to think that your forces are going up and down. Those forces are being controlled by your shocks. The forces that you're seeing way higher force at is going to be your forward and your braking forces, because those aren't being controlled or slowed down by shock.
So is having a uniball set up there like that kind of reduce those tolerances?
Yeah, it's going to last about twice as long.
Really?
Yeah.
About how much life are you getting out of the ball joints set up like that?
Oscar had 3,000 miles on his truck when we first took it apart. There was no slop in anything except for there was a tiny bit in this lower one.
And that's 3,000 off-road miles?
3,000 off-road miles.
And what about Justin? Justin is a madman with this truck. He goes out every weekend. Every weekend. So what kind of mileage is he getting out of the ball joints?
We haven't prepped this one yet.
But he's had this kit on the longest, right? He's had it for about 2 years.
2 years, yeah. Yep, he's due.
Okay. And the man's not gentle. He's definitely not gentle. So
you know what? I take that back. I'm sorry. We did actually change it. So these uniballs here are the first ones to go out. So we did actually change these the last time he was in here. We changed the steering rack or something like that, and while we had it apart, he just had us go ahead and swap those uniballs out. For prepping the kit, we learned on Oscars. We tore it all apart and did everything, and we didn't need to. Especially the lower inners and the upper inners, they were like brand new. They had like no wear on them. So really that lower outer uniball is the one that wears out the fastest.
Now, how much time have you had on this design right here, right? Because that is a concern for most of us guys, because I know my SVC one, I know it can break. I've had multiple friends break their SVC one. And theirs is, you know, it's a way different design, but it is kind of like face welded, right? It's kind of a weird setup. It's not like the length of welds that you have. And then they have a plate that they weld on too, but the most common failure point is up here on the SVC kit.
Right.
I know Justin's tested it, so like how many years has he had that on there for like that?
We did it, he had a different kit on this truck when we put this shock tower on there.
So the original shock tower was the one that failed, not yours?
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So he basically had that set up for almost 2 years then?
Yes.
All right, anything else that we want to highlight here up front? Aside from the cool bumper, if you guys never seen Hanna's bumpers, they're all custom, get them however you want, and they're badass.
Justin's is hammered though.
Well, and like if you guys want to see, this truck has kind of like the prep work you guys do for that, right?
Yeah.
It shows kind of the...
This is actually our newest generation, newest mid-travel kit edition here.
Okay.
We've made a couple changes to it. I'll show you about that a little later maybe.
Let's get set up and shoot that.
Actually, I wanted to show you one more thing on here.
Oh, sure.
With going with the uniball this way, so basically a vertical uniball, you're limited by, your inside steer will be limited at 35 degrees of angle, and this should be getting about 40 degrees of steering angle. So like that uniball, no matter, you know, even with the 1.5 inch uniball, the max angle you're gonna be able to get is 35. So, and then which makes your inside angle 25, which is not much steering angle. So, and to keep stock Ackerman, which is why our kit handles the way it does on the street, that was why we had to go this direction with the uniball. We kind of looked at both, we kind of weighed both options and stuff, and
you wanted your kit to turn good.
Yeah,
and that was one of the easier to be a daily driver, right?
You know, and I noticed, and
because that's an issue that I have on my truck, right? It's not the best daily driver. It's kind of a chore,
right? On
the daily, right? It's hard to park. It's hard to do anything with it, and this thing turns much better. All right, so let's look at one of these more raw trucks.
All right, yeah, so this is our newest rendition of our kit. Nothing much changed.
Now this is basically a raw kit, right? You're just you're in the final stages of mocking it up, right?
Yep, yeah, we just got the shock tower set up and all that. So this one, we're now gonna run billet uppers. We're probably not gonna do fabricated uppers anymore.
How thick is that piece, man? Holy crap.
Yeah,
that's what, 1.5 inches, 2 inches?
I'm not exactly sure. But the tensile strength is pretty ridiculous on these in the computer.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What about adjustment up top? With it being like that, do you still have to take them out just to do the adjustment? Or do you have a sleeve or something like that on there?
Yeah, it's the same setup with, Heims in the upper, so yeah, you have to pull those off to do your camera caster adjustment there. But so yeah, we're doing these now, and then the other thing we changed on the spindles is, it was kind of a pain in the ass to take them apart. To separate, you had to use 2 jacks kind of, or get a good angle on the one side and put one side on the ground to actually get the spindle to separate, because you have to jack it up basically almost to ride height to get the uniball, the mislight out of the uniball. So we changed up the boss that goes into the spindle, and we had it separate there, so you can actually separate it. Right to ride height. So
now, does that also kind of strengthen the joint too, down at the bottom?
It doesn't really strengthen it, but it doesn't weaken it because we added the register. So I didn't want to have like a shear point there or anything, so we had to just click right in.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so now you can take it apart on the trail like way faster. So
now, is this the same spindle design as that one?
Same spindle design, we just changed up the boss. And yeah, so I'm trying to make a little jig for our mill so we can chop them off and we can just machine those out and put new spacers on the top.
What about the tie rod? Is that a billet tie rod or is that still welded?
We're probably gonna do billet tie rods eventually. These are just chromoly tie rods.
Okay, and then here you can see all the plating in the back, which again, I recently found out that another 3-letter company is doing less plating and people are starting to bend right there. which is like,
Oh, we've seen that quite a few times, yeah.
yeah. Which, you know, it's not, the reinforcement's not for everybody. You know, your kits are for the guys that are definitely going to push it, right? And if you're not one of those guys, you want to keep that crumple zone, yeah, don't plate that. But if you're going to push it, if you're going to be a dumbass like I am, you want that reinforced. So that's pretty cool. So you can kind of see all the raw metal here, how it integrates at the top. All right, it's pretty cool. And this is with Kings, right? Justin's is with Fox. So you can do either or?
Yep.
And this is the IFP, right?
These are IFPs, yep.
Any issues with the IFPs on these?
A little harder to tune, but
it's more to tune, right?
This is shock tuner's problem though.
And aside from that, these are the same, right? Same size ball joints, same spindle design, and all that stuff?
Yeah, everything else is the same on the kit.
I noticed more companies are starting to do this, right? The little box design up to the side for the bypass. You ever have any issues with that?
No, we haven't. I wasn't the biggest fan of it at first. Brian kind of talked me into it because he was able to keep the main structure of the arm how he wanted it with the brakes. So it kind of flowed a little. He could get that straight line that he wanted, and he's like, it's a little easier just hang that off the side. So that's kind of how we did it. You could also do a two-wheel drive arm if you wanted to, or I'm sorry, not two-wheel drive arm, just a non-bypass arm if you wanted to.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the back end, and then once we're done talking with the back end, guys, we'll talk pricing so you guys can get an idea of how much these kits cost. Now we're looking at the back, and like you guys know, I don't really go over the backs too often, but there's a couple special things back here that I like, and that's why we're gonna go over it. It is a little bit different than the way the other shops do it. Let's kind of talk about the traditional piece of it, right? You're using D relief packs back here, right? What leaf pack are we using?
Justin's got the K96. We run S32s a lot, S32 HDs, K96.
What's the K96?
K96 is the +3 or +2, yeah, +3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, so this is +3? That's actually pretty good because I've seen the right height of this. It's pretty good. It's pretty flat.
Yeah.
And then
he's got a drop shackle. I believe we have a 2-inch drop shackle on here. Yep, 1-inch drop shackle.
Okay, 1-inch drop shackle. And then what are you running as far as the shock?
Justin has a 16-inch shock, so we have the extended rod ends on here to compensate.
3.5, oh, 3.5 inch.
3.5-inch 16.
With the extended rod ends, do you get you, what, 18 inches of travel? One of the cool pieces that I like here is you're doing a welded bump stop all the way to the frame, right? So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that was another problem we were having. Every bump kit we had coming in here was bending and contacting the leaf springs and all kinds of different stuff.
No, no, you don't say.
Yeah, if you just cycle it, this right here comes so close to the frame right here alone, you only have a 3/16
mine does
gap
that.
there,
I absolutely hate it because it hits that before it even bottoms out. It's annoying.
Yep, so that's all the bolt-on kits tend to do that. So we went with the weld-on style. We kind of captured both the frame and the bump bracket here with the cross tube that's also welded in there.
Oh, so that's kind of cool. So your bypass rack is all in the back right there, mounted directly to the frame, not to the bed.
Yep, so we don't use any bed bolts. We had numerous problems with that, bending the front bed mounts and stuff like that, and then pulling through bed bolts, and those bolts, just getting seized and all kinds of stuff. So this is actually our prototype bed rack that we did, but now we chopped the whole front bed bracket off right here and replaced, I have one outside I can show you too. We replaced this whole bracket and it has integrated mount for our bed rack, and then the bed rack also lands to the top of the bump cans.
Now this right here, what stroke is this? This is what?
2.5.
2.5 with the 2.5?
Yep.
Fox, right? And you can do either or.
Yeah, Fox or King, either or.
You have a strike plate that goes in between the leaf pack?
Yeah, bolt-in strike plate, which got leaf bolts.
Okay, and then you guys are doing your custom mounts there down there as well, right, for the bypass, and it's all nice and out of the way. Okay, so let's take a look at the bed real quick, because there is a lot of cool stuff here, and you're doing custom bed racks now too, right?
Yeah, so we have our standard production bed rack, which is basically what this one is, and we can add onto those and do kind of however you want our tires configured, you want vertical spares, and we just did one that's kind of cool. We did like a couple of slots for dirt bikes and the cross tube in the back, and then.
Now your standard kit doesn't include the cage, right? So this is whether you have a cage or not, it still kind of looks kind of like that setup, and then if you do a cage,
correct,
it goes up.
Yeah, we just tie the cage right into the bed rack there.
Okay. Very simple rack, reinforced at the back, and I noticed your new kit also ties into the bed bolts back here too, right?
Yes, yeah, this is before we had our bed supports and like production ones or whatever. So now our bed supports, run across here, catch these bolts, and we generally run them separate from the bed rack, but we could connect them if you'd like.
But this is a very simple design that works. It reinforces your bed. It helps reduce a lot of the movements that cause this to fall off. And Justin actually has lost his bed, right? His tailgate before he did all this work, right? And he actually added all this work to reinforce it and kind of keep it back together. And it's a really cool setup. And you guys, do custom bed racks, right? So if somebody has a unique request, you guys can accommodate it, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and our main bed rack the foundational parts that just goes through the bed there and then comes down to the shock tower, cross tube, and then triangulate down. But that's it. Your whole bed is open. So, if you take Justin's tires out of here, you can still, you can put 2 dirt bikes in here, no problem.
Yeah, you can go to the hardware store.
Yeah, exactly.
Load up more than a Cybertruck.
Yep. Put almost some dirt in there, covered up the shock holes.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the inside now because the inside is really cool of this truck. So a couple things to highlight first as you start going into this truck is he went with the amp steps, right? And I know that's a personal preference. I'm not a fan of amp steps, but people like them, so cool. This is it looks like a pretty stout cage, and it's a very simple setup. So can you talk about the cage? Like what size tubing and everything that you guys use?
Our cages generally use all 2-inch mains with the 1 3/4 lacing. Justin's, we got a little Gucci on. We did some radius tubes on the roof, and yeah, we tie into the frame A, B, C, and connected on the floor here.
Pretty simple cage.
W the back wall.
Yeah, I see that.
Perfect setup if you ever want to link.
And it's
in the future.
Super tight to the cab too, at the top.
Yeah, we're trying to get him as high and tight as we can.
Justin's truck is the perfect one to showcase because, Justin, like a lot of us, wheels on a budget. So he hasn't done a full interior. He just wanted a cage for the rigidity and the extra performance, right? And it really shows all the features of the cage. Like, it's all exposed. He's a lot like me, right? He doesn't have the budget to go in and pay a upholstery shop to redo all this for a couple $1,000. And this is really cool to see how it all comes together, man.
It's raw, you see the back wall, the dirt, from the factory cab and all that, and
yeah,
the window and motor lines and all that stuff.
Oh, the pretty welds. Yeah. Dude, you do some good work, man, when it comes to your welds, bro.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's a really cool setup. Very simple. He's got his little mounts there. Does the cage extend all the way down to the front and everything?
Actually, yeah. So Justin's, we punched through. So we were kind of, he's on a budget when we did the cage, and he had plans to maybe later on we'll build an engine cage. So we did punch through the firewall. So under here, you can see there's a.
Oh, so he hasn't finished it yet.
It's not finished. Yeah, maybe we'll do a bump stop off the upper control arm like we did on Oscar's truck, and something like that, and tie into a whole engine cage.
Now, he was able to keep all the amenities, right? So like his rack, his center console, all that stuff's in place, right?
Yeah, that's how we do all of our cages. We try to use as much of the factory stuff as possible. So we get the C pillars, the B pillars on a crew cab, and we don't use the A pillars, but the full dash, all these little side kick panels, all that in the center console.
And then he splurged on the seats. He's got some nice seats.
He got some Gucci seats for sure. Little mini ones for
PRPs.
For the boys back there.
And really with PRP, guys, it's sky's the limit. You want ventilated seats? You can get them. You can get whatever you want. Do you feel like this is kind of a requirement for a scab truck? Because, it doesn't have the pull in the middle? Does it matter?
I mean, I don't think that thing's doing all that much on the cab. I think cages are, depending on how you're driving, how fast you're going, they're pretty much always a requirement for me, though.
They're not for everybody, though.
Yeah.
I know, I don't think I could do a cage, honestly. I don't know if the noise is different. It's very different.
Yeah. People don't realize though too with the cages, it's actually a major performance increase.
Oh yeah, it makes everything nice and stiff.
Yeah, everything's way more rigid front to back, and
the suspension will perform better.
Yep, truck's way more collected into corners and everything.
All right, now let's talk price. All right, so let's start talking price for this kit. First of all, the front kit. How much is the kit, and then with shocks and all that stuff?
Front kit's 11 grand with the billet upper control arms and 4-wheel drive and the frame plating.
How much is it without the billet if somebody want to go fabricate it, or is your only path forward billet?
It'll be about 10 grand for the fabricated.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a few of those left. We'd sell them, but we're going to push the billets from now on, probably.
Okay. And then, does that include the shocks, or is that just
no
the
shocks?
kit?
Shocks kind of vary if you want to do the fin reses and all that. I believe like Gen 2 coilovers are like 4 grand, and then the bypasses are probably around 4 grand.
It's about 8,000.
About 8,000 for shock package. 8, yeah, 7,000, 8,000.
Now, does the base kit include the plating, the slot deletes, and all that stuff?
Yes, all that is included. Pretty much everything that's on Justin's truck, I believe, is included. Yes. So he's got IWE deletes, he's got brake lines, axle shafts, uppers, lowers, spindles.
Do you guys support IWEs, or does it have to have IWE
IWEs.
deletes? Okay.
Yeah. So we're actually working on that for the Gen 3s to incorporate the IWEs.
So about total cost for the front is about 18 grand, and then how much is installation?
Installation's about 4 grand.
4 grand?
Yep.
So total, you're what, 22?
22.
22? That's not too bad. It's pretty competitive. You get one of the best turning kits. Now the rear is a little bit different, right? The rear, just like every other kit, it's the reason why we don't go over it too much. There's a whole lot more customization when it comes to doing the rear. So let's just talk about the base rear end with the welded bump stop, devers, shocks, and the cage. Let's talk about those components.
Okay, so yeah, devers, $1,600, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
pretty standard. You can check it out on the website.
Pretty expensive these days.
Yeah, definitely. Our bump kit alone, we do sell. That kit is $1,200 just for the weld-on bump kit.
How much is that installed, or is that
That's not installed. Installed, I don't even think we've done just the bump kit, but that'd probably be about $800, something about that. The bump kit with the bed rack together is $3,400, and that includes the bumps, brackets, the cross tube, the
all
front,
the modifications?
the front bed brackets, both bed mounts, cross tube, and billet rods.
And then the shocks themselves are
The
about
shocks totally
4 to 5
depend.
grand.
Yeah, 4 to 5 grand.
If you go 4.0s, it can be as high as 6 grand. They
Yeah.
get pretty pricey. What about the bed rack? Because the bed rack is very custom. Do you have a base price for the bed rack?
Yeah, so that the bed rack included the base bed rack with
Well,
the
I'm
bump.
talking about the bed rack that goes all the way to the back.
We don't really offer a bed rack that goes all the way to the back.
That's all custom.
That's
right?
all custom, yeah.
So it'll be made to order. It'll be a custom quote depending on your needs.
Yep.
What about the cage? If somebody wanted to do just this cage setup, tying it to the back, the basic cage on the inside, what is that? Because that's a lot of work, man.
Yeah. Gen 1 cage is about 110 hours, so it's about 16 grand in labor for a Gen 1 cage.
16 grand in labor, and then about materials, a couple grand?
Yeah, it's all said and done, it's about 18 grand.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's not too bad. For a full cage setup like that, dude, that's pretty good. So for those of you guys looking out at your kits, this is another really good option. Best turn radius in the business. And wait till you guys see this off-road. It is amazing. We're gonna show you guys those clips here. And keep in mind, this truck is tuned, and we're gonna talk about it when we come back. Now let's break down the footage you guys just saw a little bit, because most people that watch these videos don't really understand what's going on. So first, let's take a look at the black truck. This is a tuned HRD truck going through a whooped out section, and it looks so smooth. Now let's slow that down a little bit so you guys can see what that suspension is doing in the back end. It is nice and tight. It's staying relatively level. Really impressive, and this is the beauty of tuning. Let's look at it again from a different angle. And again, let's look at it in slow-mo. Again, look how flat that truck is staying through there. It's very, very impressive. I know to some of you it might look boring, it doesn't look that exciting, but this is what you want to see. You want a truck to be as flat as possible. Flat means control, flat means you can carry more speed, flat is comfortable. Here HRD also had a fresh build that they hadn't tuned yet, and this was one of its first passes going through this whooped out section, and you could see the difference. The back end wasn't as composed, it was, bucking a little bit, and as the day progressed, they actually worked on this truck and made it better. Now, what does an untuned truck look like? Well, we had one of the guys that showed up. He gets his truck serviced at Bailey's shop. He's running an HRD kit up front. I think he's running SVC in the back. I could be wrong, but this is a fully untuned truck going through the same exact section again, trying to carry some speed. That is a substantial amount of bucking. That kind of stuff makes you lose control. It can get you into trouble. It overloads the front end. It's not what you want to see, and this is what trucks normally look like going through this area. Mine, in fact, when I'm not carrying a bunch of camera gear, going through areas like this does buck really, really hard, and it has to do with the tuning. The base tune that's in my truck is not great, and it saps all your confidence. Kevin at Dialed also went ahead and tried to do some tuning while we were there. He was able to turn some tunes back and forth and got that back end to compose much, much better, even after just one set of settings. It's a huge, huge improvement. And this is just something that's going to take time to get those trucks fully dialed in. Typically, a tuned truck, you want to give it to a tuner, and it's going to take them a few days to properly tune it. And they're going to be going through sections over and over and over again to get it right. We didn't have that time today. This was shooting days. We're out there to get footage, but you could just see how just minor tunes can make such a big difference. And also why I'm impressed with the HRD builds, because Bailey at Hanna Race Design is putting a big focus on tuning. Not just the kit. The kit's important, that's your base, but without tuning, the kit can perform like this. And properly tuned, it just wakes up the truck. And if you're building a mid-travel or a long-travel truck, don't forget about the tuning. Some companies get closer than others. HRD gets closer, HM gets closer, but that doesn't mean that's the full potential of the truck. So make sure that you account for some custom tuning with a professional, and keep in mind that could be more than just $1,000, $1,500. It could be as much as $3,000 to $4,000 for a proper tuner that's going to spend some time with your vehicle and get it performing right. Now let's go ahead and talk to the owner of this Black Gen 1 truck so you guys can see a real testimonial from a customer of HRD that's been going to their shop for well over 2 years. All right, so this is Justin. Justin, this is your truck back here. So yep. I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about this because you've been the guinea pig for this truck, man. You really have tested this thing out to the max, and you test it out every single week. So why'd you pick Bailey and Hanna Race Design?
Yeah, so I met Bailey many years ago when I used to be an SVC customer, and he was always working on my truck, and I got to know him, and he's a real friendly dude, but more importantly, he was really knowledgeable about Raptors. So when I heard he started his own place, I needed some work on the truck, and I wanted to take it to him because of his familiarity with Raptor. So. And
you were one of the guys that recommended him to us, right? It's one of the reasons why I came to him to have him do my bumper, because I saw your bumper and I was like, oh, I want that. That looks good.
Yep.
And he customized it for me, right? Which is really cool. Why the switch? Why the switch from SVC to HRD?
Yeah, for me, it was all about trying to get the most performance out of my truck. And the SVC was a great kit, but I really wanted someone to work on my truck that knew the truck inside and out, knew how to get the most out of it. And with Bailey's experience, I thought that'd be the best avenue. So I started working with him, and that's how that relationship started.
And dude, this truck is beyond impressive on the trails. We saw some footage, and you let me have a ride, and wow, dude, I mean, like, you're driving this like a pre-runner, basically. It's crazy how capable this thing is.
Yeah, I've gotten really comfortable with it. I've started with a very stock Raptor, bone stock Raptor, doing many runs and slowly progressed. So I didn't get all this overnight, the cage, the mid-travel. It was a slow progression over the years. So it's been finally tuned and dialed in over the years, and now she's dialed now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, who was it that was used to dial this truck up? Because I think that's a key thing we have to highlight on this truck.
Yeah, it's definitely Bailey and his experience with working with all the Raptors, the different wheelbases, different spring packs, different shock packages. And then Kevin with dialed shock prepped the shocks and did the tuning. He turned some tubes when we went out to Barstow as well. So that's what got the truck dialed.
Because that really highlights what this is. This shows you what a dialed truck can do, and holy crap, man, you guys blew me away. It was impressive, beyond impressive.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and like, talk about driving this thing, because this is a little bit different, right? You have the 5.4, and you're making us with the 6.2 look like we're going slow. Has this truck really like brought up your confidence too in the way you drive and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. You could always use more horsepower. It'd be nice to have more power with a 6.2, but I'm very comfortable with the 5.4, and I really drive it with momentum in mind. So I can't blast the berms and the dunes like some of the other guys, but it keeps the momentum up in the whoops, so it's good enough.
You're doing good enough, man. That was impressive seeing it the other day. What else can we talk about here as far as the truck, man? Because you are really the guy really testing this. I know you go out often. I think you're the only guy I know that goes out more than I do, right? So talk about your experience over the last 2 years with this truck.
Yeah, for me, the goal with the truck was always, the true essence of a Raptor is it's still a street truck. It's not really a pre-runner or a tube chassis, obviously. So my goal was to have a daily drivable truck that I could also go and mob with all my friends out in the desert. So over the past few years, that's been the goal, is to keep it streetable. So the turning radius is important. The way it drives on the street is still somewhat important. But then when I did the cage, that just took it to the next level for off-roading. So now with the cage, I think that's been the game changer, is everything is solid mounted, body is solid mounted, the cab's tied into the cage, the rear bed cage is tied into the cab. So it's a different experience now, even though it's still a mid-travel truck.
Well, I noticed that too while we were out there, man. The way it responded was so good, and it was all tied together. There was nothing funky moving around the truck. It was great to see it.
Yeah, and it's got over 211,000 miles on it now too. So anything that could have fallen off on it has already fallen off, and I've already addressed that, or Bailey and his team have addressed it. So, I mean, she just runs.
It's pretty cool, man. And you're a perfect example of a guy balling on a budget and making the big kits, the big expensive trucks, looks silly.
That's the goal.
All right, well, thanks, Justin.
Cool, thank you.
I also wanted to show you guys that, unlike some shops that only do their kits and nothing else, Bailey does a whole lot more, right? You work on other customers' trucks, on other kits and all that stuff. You do prep, and that's kind of what we have, kind of a smattering of that here, including race trucks too. So this right here, this is a brand new customer build, right?
Yeah, this guy actually went with him to look at this truck. He bought it online, whatever, went and checked it out. This truck was shipped in from Japan. It's like mint condition. So brought it to us bone stock, and we tore it apart. We're doing our front kit on here, front bumper, our bed rack setup, and 40-inch tires and steering pump, brake kit, all that stuff.
This is a Gen 1, right?
This is a Gen 1 scab, yep.
Okay, very cool. And he's gonna be one of your first doing the billet.
Yeah, this is our prototype billet arms on this one.
Okay, what about this truck? What's we have going on here? This looks like a cage truck and everything.
Yeah, this truck here, this good customer, Scott, he's brought this thing back to us a bunch of times. He has tons and tons of miles on this thing.
So this has the Wildwoods or Willwoods, however you say it, right?
Yep, we retrofitted the Willwoods on the RPG kit. Got 40-inch tires on here, all the big weight stuff. He's got our front bumper.
And you guys maintain this truck for him?
Yeah, we maintain it.
Is this your cage? This looks like your cage.
Yeah, we're just doing the cage right now. That's what it's in for this time, as well as some minor prep stuff.
I love your flag logo, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then over here, we got your race truck, right?
Yeah, Scott's also running our bed rack too. Yeah, and then this is my truck. I've had this thing since I was 14. This is my grandpa's truck. My dad and my uncle gave it to me when he passed away, and it was lowered on low pros when I got it, and learned everything I know on this thing. And yeah, it's been through a million different variations and tried every type of kit, and now I have a one-off TIG welded race kit in the front.
So what are the specs on this thing? Because this thing is wild, dude. What engine do you have in this? Is this still a Nissan engine?
No, it's a 383 stroker Chevy small block. Connor, one of my guys, he built the motor for me. It's got like 600 horsepower.
And a 600 horsepower?
Yep. Yeah, it's on race gas. And
wow.
13
This thing
watt
sounds
compression,
bitchin' too.
all
It
that
was
stuff.
on the trails. And then what are your suspension setup up front on this thing?
It's
This
got
thing's
a
cool.
custom front kit we did on it. We kind of reverse engineered a kit that I had on there. It was running stock codes. We lost the hub, bent the kit. So we just kind of reverse engineered and made a couple little tweaks.
And this thing's actually seen real racing, right?
Yeah,
You guys do more?
Yep. We're in 3rd place right now in points.
And I
in the
noticed your builds kind of evolve with this thing too, man.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
As you break something, you kind of put it into your builds, which is cool.
Yeah.
And did you do all the back half on this thing?
So actually, when I was in high school, before I was fabricating, I had another shop, Wide Open Customs, up in Hesperia. They did a good portion of the cab cage and then some of the bed cage, and then I've kind of reworked it, 20 times since then, and changed some cab cage tubes and cut the
Always
firewall
tweaking.
out and always tweaking. Yeah, and then new shock package back here, and yeah, it's all redone back here pretty much.
Oh.
But
I thought this was a link truck. This is a leaf truck. It performs like a link truck.
it sure does. It actually smokes most 1400 trucks in our series.
So why Nissan? Why a Nissan
Oh,
truck?
I didn't pick the Nissan. It was my grandpa's truck. It just was given to me. I would have never picked a Nissan.
Oh, so it's got a lot of sentimental value then.
I mean, yeah, definitely means something.
This thing is pretty wild. You guys are building this from scratch, right?
Yes. Yep.
Dude, this thing is cool.
Yep.
There's a
Full
lot
tube
of-
chassis.
There's a lot of billet here, dude. I haven't seen that too much before.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of different stuff on this chassis. Got some freaky steering stuff going on. We got the RAM mounts up here. Goes down. We're using the billet Power Steering Solutions box.
What
Yeah, I
engine is this?
It's a Dugan's 555 pre-runner package motor.
I love the logo on there, dude. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Guys at RD hooked us up with that.
So you said Dugan Stroker, so GM?
Yeah, it's a GM base. Yeah, it's GM base. Dugan's builds the whole thing. It's a 555. It's about 1,000 horsepower, pump gas.
What? From
Yeah.
wait. How is it doing that much horsepower NA?
I don't know.
Look at the fuel rails on that thing.
Cubic inches, I guess.
Dude.
Those guys are the guys at RD really have it locked down. They're probably the best engine builders in the industry right now.
Dude, there's a lot of beautiful work on this thing, man. I'd recognize your cage design. It's funny how you have a signature when it comes to your cage design.
Yeah, this whole truck is being done in CAD. And yeah,
Is this your first race truck build?
well, I mean that's my first race truck build, but this is my
But
this
no,
is our
like,
first
this is
tube
ground
chassis.
up, right?
Yeah, this is our first tube chassis. We're gonna probably run the Nora or something with this, but it runs a 4-door Gen 3 cab. So it'll have 3 seats, a refrigerator, and air conditioning, all
What?
that stuff. Yeah. So
Wow.
this isn't actually a race car. This is a pre-runner.
Really?
So, yeah, this is just a pre-runner.
A tube chassis pre-runner?
Yeah, so this customer, he actually used to own the Ken Block truck. He had that for a little while, and he got it linked, and then wasn't really happy with it, and then he rode an Oscar's truck and was like, all right, this is bitching. What can we do?
You don't say.
Crazier? And,
I wonder if Ken wasn't too happy with it either. Let's not talk about that.
yeah,
I mean,
no comment. But yeah, we're running full RD drivetrain on this. ID Designs rear end, ID Designs hubs, front and rear.
Beautiful freaking linked arms. Who did these for you?
We had a local machine shop do these.
Holy crap, dude. The machine you need to do this.
Yeah, giant CNC for those guys.
Does he do it in 2 passes or 4? Because most people have to do this in like 4 passes.
Oh, I'm sure it's in multi-pass. Yeah, I'm not sure, but
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
Brian at Performance Metal Co does all of our design work for us, all our CAD stuff. So this is really his masterpiece. I've been working with Brian for a long time now. He's a wizard.
Dude.
We have like all kinds of stuff. We're getting the spindles. We got those 3D printed for mock-up here. We just got the lower control arms in. So we got those prepped, ready to tack up. We got all the big boy hubs, full Brembo brake package.
Dude, when this thing is done, we have to do a video on it, man. Because this is wild.
Yeah.
This is wild, especially if you put a stock cab on it.
Yep. This thing's gonna be pretty state of the art.
So there you go, guys. Quick tour of the shop. They don't just do their own kit. They do prep. And if you want, thing goes crazy as this. It's pretty cool. That's it for this video. Big thank you to Bailey for access to the shop, man. You guys make some cool stuff. Big thank you to Justin, man. You beat the shit out of your truck out there and showed us just, wow, dude. I was blown away. I was not expecting that level of performance from that kit. I really wasn't. So it was really cool. So big thank you to you guys. And any closing thoughts?
No, not really.
No.
Thank you for coming out and doing this. We really appreciate it.
How do they get a hold of you guys to get this kit?
We're on Instagram. You can DM me. That's probably the best way. My email is bailey@hannarace.com. And we do have a website up right now, hannarace.com. It's a work in progress, so be more coming to that soon.
Okay. So any custom quotes you guys need, he can help you out, even if it's prep work, right? He's in Orange County, guys. If you're looking for somebody to help you prep your truck, even general maintenance, he's your guy to talk to. Bailey has helped me out right when I got this truck. He was one of the guys that was super excited about the bumper style that I was looking for and the reinforcement I was looking for, and that's the kind of guy you want working on your trucks, guys. So highly recommend him. And then Justin, you can attest to that, right? You've been coming to Bailey for the last 2 years.
Yep. Very happy customer. Highly recommend if you have a Raptor, you come out and see Bailey at HRD.
Yep, he is one of the experts in the industry, even though he's only been doing it for a very short time. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Any questions or comments below, and we'll see you guys on the next one.